Sorry. Stop. I feel like we thinned out here on day 3. Thank you guys for being here. I know Saturday night it's a pain to be here this late, and hopefully it'll be the last time you guys are here for a long time. On a weekend, you get some time away. Really great weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles, for our organization. Just the way everyone works together, everyone in the organization coming together, coaches, scouts, front office staff, administrative staff. It's fun to watch. And when we get everyone in the draft room and Jeffrey speaks to all of us, it's fun to look, because we talk about picking the players, but we pick all the people that we work with. And it really becomes a family atmosphere here, and it's a good place to work. So we had a fun weekend. Obviously, a lot of things went on. Whenever you have an experience like this, there are a lot of things that you look at and maybe you wanted to do. There are a lot of things that maybe you didn't expect to happen that come through. So it's a fun weekend, but at the same time, we still know that we don't play a game till September, and so we're going to continue to try to improve the roster. Our work is not done. We still have other periods to try to acquire players, but we are very, very happy about what we did this weekend. So it's a great testament to all the people in this building.
You guys drafted 4 out of 5 picks were offensive players. Was that just how the board played out? Was that a concerted thing? You wanted to address the offense in this draft, or?
No, it definitely wasn't a concerted thought process. We really went into this draft trying to stick to our board, and we did the same thing even after the draft. We went through our front board and tried to get as many guys as we could after the draft and recruit them. But we also, we did say, and I regretted it right after saying it, about the historic defensive line class, and thankfully all of you have reminded me countless times over the weekend. You guys are so forgiving. And but I think really when you look at it and where guys went, it was. And what it did for us was it pushed some guys down to us that maybe in a normal year on the offensive side of the ball wouldn't be able to get to our pick. So we try to take advantage of those opportunities. And then also when you look at today, a guy like Sharif, we think in a normal draft, that guy goes yesterday. And so because so many teams took defensive linemen, we had an opportunity to get a young pass rusher that we think we can work with and develop and has some tools in his body. So I think it's kind of, the catch-22 on those situations, that it pushed some offensive players to us, but the flip side is today we had an opportunity to get a guy that we liked.
You talked last year about how difficult it sort of is for the scouts to go through the whole process and only get to pick 5 guys again this year. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the good news is they were under the illusion we were going to make more picks when they got here this week, as opposed to last year when Joe wrote on his big board, this is Scouts draft day. So, I think at the end of the day, we look at it like, that end of the 6th round pick, that's really when a lot of guys that we would pick in the 6th round are guys that we're recruiting as free agents. So the 4th round pick, that was a hard one to sit through. But hopefully we got a starting left tackle for a long time, and that's a hard position to find. And you look at where offensive linemen go in this draft, and sometimes you're sitting there and you're in the 3rd round, and offensive linemen that you have on the 3rd day are getting taken because they're hard to find. They're not letting many people on this earth who have the kind of athleticism that the guy we got had. So those things are hard to find. So. I think we really try to utilize the undrafted process as, Jeffrey likes to say it's the 8th through 20th round and we're on the clock. So we try to do that because we do want to get young guys. But, again, our job is to get as many good players as possible, try to get as many difference makers as possible, and we think we got some of those this weekend.
Joe, what was that like for you to only get 5 guys?
Well, just to clarify, last year for Friday we had penciled in staff golf outing. Yeah, so we traded back into the 2nd. We missed that golf day, but we got a heck of a player. No, I mean you understand. There's highs and lows and ebbs and flows of the draft, and you're prepared for anything. And our scouts are prepared and ready for any scenario, and they were great all week. And to touch on what Howie said, I mean the chemistry we have with all the departments, and the scouts and the coaches working together, and working with analytics and football ops. I mean, there's a lot of good chemistry going on.
Howie, even if you didn't think this class ended up maybe not being historic, or you regret saying it? If I would have told you before the draft that you wouldn't have gotten a defensive lineman in those first 3 picks, would you have been surprised?
I would have been more surprised if you told me we didn't get a lineman in the first 3 picks. And I think that there was that distinction, as we went through the scenarios over the last couple of weeks. We did go through scenarios where it wasn't a defensive lineman, but at some point in the first couple of rounds, an offensive lineman would fall to us. So, both sides of the ball are important to us, and we were going to make sure that happened. But, I don't think that we thought that Miles Sanders would be there, pick 53, right or wrong. The receivers kind of fell in a different order than we thought. And then, again, coming to today and being at the end of the 4th round and sitting there, and, all of us, it was hard to sit there. It's hard to sit there at the beginning of days and wait for all those picks. And to be able to get a pass rusher that we think has tools in his body to develop, we're excited about that. I think we reached our Penn State quota.
Why did you make the trade at the end of the draft there for Hassan?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been talking. Obviously, we all have a great relationship with the Colts organization and their head coach and their general manager and their scouting staff. And he's a guy that we've been talking to for a long time with them. And it came at the end of the 7th round, and we have been talking about trying to find a fit, and they had kind of a player they wanted, and we're continuing to look for guys who can help us up front. And we think this guy fits our scheme. We think he's got a chance to develop into a good player for us. He's young. He's 24 years old. We have guys on our staff that were in Indy and drafted him. We have guys on our staff that were with him in Indianapolis. So we feel like we know the player. He's still young, and so it gives him an opportunity to come here and get a second chance. And we're excited about that move.
As the D-line and starting back in March, how you've changed everything around, just as you look at that group, tackles and defensive ends. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, first, it starts with some of the guys that we got in free agency. What happened?
He likes to mess around with Dave.
Dude,
Demonstrative.
you were making.
I love it. I
was gonna say,
talk that
my
way
hand,
too.
not me.
I have to put my hands in my pockets.
Yeah, now I'm good. Sorry, Dave.
How much has changed on the D-line?
Yeah, I think that the first order of business was to bring back BG. Just what BG brings to us on and off the field was such a huge move for our football team. Bring back Vinny at defensive end, and then Deshaun Hall is a guy that we got last year, was a 3rd-round pick, and he's really taken a step in the offseason here just with his body. Obviously we can't see him out on the field. Josh Sweat, we knew that him having a full offseason and coming back was something that he really needed to continue to develop. Joe Osman's a guy that, again, when you look at the transition he's made with his body just in the offseason, I know a lot of the coaching staff is excited to see him in his 2nd year. So you get those guys at defensive end, then you add the guy we get today, and it's a good mix of veterans and young players, and obviously DB coming back, our 1st-round pick, who we're really excited about. And then you come into defensive tackle, and maybe a week ago looking at that position and having some concern, quite frankly, about that position and the depth. And, obviously we're really excited about Malik, and you see his leadership and what he's going to add to the team with Fletch and Trayvon taking a step up, and hopefully Bruce. But just bringing Timmy back and what Timmy means to our team. And he looks good, and he hopefully have a really good, healthy year out of Timmy, and then adding Hassan, and then we got a couple of guys hopefully after the draft that can add to that depth. So we like our defensive line. Like that's gonna be the start of something. And we just actually before we came up here, we were looking at our depth chart, and we're looking at our O line and D line, and we're going, yeah, those are good spots.
How you didn't draft?
It's been a few years for you since you could talk about a quarterback up here. What stood out to you personally about Clayton Thorson?
Clayton, obviously my first opportunity to see him was at the Combine this year, and sat down and had a chance to interview him and talk with him. And he came off, was very impressive, number one, Northwestern kid. And, what I like about him, obviously, is, he 3 out of the last 4 years a bowl. He's a bowl, taken his team to a bowl, and he's won those games, and he's got all the passing records there at Northwestern. And this kid's tough, and he fits exactly what we look for in a quarterback. Arm strength, decision making, the ability to extend plays, and he's going to fit really well with that room and with Carson and Nate, and it's going to be a really fun spring and summer and leading up into training camp to just see all those guys really how they come together in that room and gel, and it's a good opportunity for him.
I think the two things about Clayton, just to add, this is a guy our scouts and Joe did a great job of putting on our radar early, but he's in his second year back from his ACL, and I think all of us can speak when you get like a text message, and you get them after every pick from people around the league, but just hearing from other head coaches and guys who kind of, this guy kind of got pushed down a little bit. So we were excited to get him and to have a young quarterback to work with.
Howie, you just talk about the young, obviously you didn't draft a safety or a linebacker. Just talk about the young talent you have at those positions and how you like the groups you have.
Yeah, I think it's fair to kind of look at those two groups and say probably something that we would have liked to have done. There were a couple of times in the draft where we were deciding between a couple of guys, and again, we're going to be consistent, right or wrong. When we have the chance to draft a lineman or another position, we're going to focus on the lineman. So we had a couple of those opportunities where maybe we could have gone in a different direction, and we decided to do that. But I think when we sit back down and look at it, maybe that was an area that we thought we'd address, but you can't go into a draft and just say you're going to address it. We need some of our young guys to take a step up at both those spots. They've been here. We're hopeful that that's the case. And again, talent acquisition season has not ended. We have a long way to go before we play a game, and then we have a long way to go before the trade deadline. And we're not going on vacation now. We're going to continue to try to do whatever we can to support Coach and his staff, and we take that part of it seriously.
When you have a young franchise quarterback and an offensive head coach, does it tip the priority scales at all as far as roster building is concerned?
Do we talk about the offense a lot? We do. But I think it's just we stick to our board. At the end of the day, we didn't reach on any offensive players here. And we do definitely want to support our quarterback and make sure that he's got the right line around him, the right skill position guys around him. But we also know the defense can help him. So this was a process that we felt like we did address the defense in free agency. When we look at it at the safety position, we signed Sendejo in free agency. We brought Rodney back. At linebacker, we are excited about LJ Fort and what he can add to our team. So we felt like, and obviously we talked about the defense line, so we do feel like we've addressed that somewhat in free agency, probably more than the offense side. Am I missing anyone in free agency when we talked about this?
On defense?
Yeah.
Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny, we talked about defensive line, right. Or Warlow,
Yeah,
right.
Warlow.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Doug, along those
Come
same
on.
lines, when you look at the offensive side of the ball, you use your first 3 picks there. You got Deshaun, Jordan Howard. What do you feel like you're going to be able to do now that maybe you weren't sure you could do last year? Flexibility, or what are you most excited about with this group?
I'm looking forward to Monday, and that's all I'm focused on. It's our opportunity, phase 2, to be on the field with our guys, and this is where we begin to really build the chemistry of our offense and defense and special teams. And I'm excited about the players we've acquired. Howie, Joe, their guys have done a great job of going out and finding these guys for us and bringing them. And we always talk about that every offseason. We're going to acquire free agents that are going to help us now, and these guys are all going to help us now. And I'm just excited for these next couple of weeks to get into phase 2 and phase 3. And again, like I said, this is where we get to build, I think, that chemistry in all 3 phases and see kind of where we're at. And then in a couple of weeks with the rookie minicamp coming up to get our rookies in here and then get them sort of indoctrinated with the veteran players. And so I'm just excited, looking forward one day at a time. It's going to always stay one day at a time. And we'll just build right in through training camp and get ready for the regular season.
You're so consistent with that, It's like
How you
Did you also kind of look at like the guys you drafted, especially like the first 3 picks, as being essential to replacing guys on the roster who either veterans, might have expensive contracts coming up and everything like that. I mean, how much of a factor was all that?
Yeah, I think that, we look at the first pick as something that's really hard to find. It's an offensive line deficient league. It's hard to find those guys, and we just thought it was a great opportunity. When we look at the other two spots, we've been looking for a runner like Miles for a couple years, and for him to be there, we're really excited about his potential. Obviously, he's a rookie player. He's got to come in and work hard and earn his way. And then I think with JJ, he was he was another just staff favorite. Just really fits in. We're not trying to run anyone off the team. We're trying to keep as many of our good players as we can for as long as we can. So, to sit here and say that, hey, we have this grand plan where, this guy's going to be off the team in a year, or this guy's going to be off the team in 2 years. By the same token, we do have a young quarterback, and we do have now more guys that are under contract in 2021 and 2022. So that helps us, not only on offense but on defense. So all those things go into play, and unfortunately for us, we can't just focus on 2019. So we got to keep our eye on the ball, and when we're in the third day of the draft and talking about trading future picks, that's when that kind of comes into play.
You mentioned that you were.
Let's get Joe. He's had a great question.
I'm for Joe.
Go ahead, Zach.
You have the staff, obviously, that's been on the road all year. As you talk to them, what stands out about this class in particular? What is kind of defining about this class?
Wow, that's a great question, Zach. I mean, I think we get together at several points during this week, specifically with the scouts, and we ask them. We ask a lot of them, right? We ask that they're on the road a long time. They do a great job going from town to town and getting as much information as possible. And there's several points during the year we challenge them. This week we challenge them a lot, and we say, tell us the guys that you're most excited about. We're going to try to get as many of those guys as possible. And I can tell you that every single guy that we drafted, there were multiple guys that would put their name on that card and just say, this guy's an Eagle. This guy fits us. So, this is a high character class, and it's a group of playmakers. And I'm so proud of the job that our scouts did, and the way that we work together with the coaching staff.
You said that you're pretty optimistic. I mean, you feel pretty good about where the D-line stands, but you are losing a lot of production in Michael Bennett. It looks like most likely Chris Long won't be back too. You mentioned DB. How's he look coming back, and what you guys obviously first round pick. You have a lot of invested in him. What's he have to do to, obviously in his third year to kind of reward you guys on the investment you made in him?
Yeah, I'd say every time he's on the field, he's rewarding our investment in him. We have a lot of confidence in him as a player, and he's a huge part of our football team. He's shown it. This isn't a guy that's going to his third year, and we haven't seen what he's done. And we've seen what he's done in big games. We saw what he was doing last year before he got hurt, and we expect him to come in and be a huge part of our team.
Last one, please. Howie brought up the Penn State quota, and jokingly, but as coaches, you having Burke and Groh at Penn State for their pro day, and then maybe interacting with them at the local day, how much is that one-on-one interaction play into your decision-making from a coaching standpoint?
I wouldn't say it goes into the actual decision-making. I would say this, that it gives us more information. It gives us another resource that we can use when we do pull the trigger on a certain player. And that's valuable. The scouts go in there and they do a lot of the preliminary work for us, and then a coach goes in there after that and has a chance to sit down one-on-one or work him out or be at a pro day. And that's just another set of eyeballs on that particular player. It has nothing to do with, because they're in our backyard, so to speak, that makes any difference one way or the other.
One last thing, I think that you guys saw, I don't know the last time you guys were in the cafeteria, but I know you saw like the resources we give to our players in the cafeteria. We got a new draft room, like this whole weekend, what Jeffrey gives all of us, I mean, it's pretty special. And we have a lot of guys who've come to our organization from different places, and some people come back from different places, and it's just, you don't take it for granted. It's just, it's pretty cool. We have all the resources we need at our disposal to win games. So thank him too. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.